what are your teachings around menstrual cycle and doing shoulder stand? Great question. So this is a question that comes up often in the practice of whether or not to do inversions when we're on our moon. Traditionally, they say not to do to do inversion practice on your moon. There is actually no scientific evidence that says that it's not a good idea. The reason why a lot of yogis say it's not a good idea is that energetically, right, you're moving things down and out, right? Apanavayu is working, which is the way that the energy is moving. And so by turning it upside down, you're taking the energy in the opposite direction. Now, that being said, for me personally, what I usually tell women or people who are menstruating is that it depends on you. So there are some women whose menstruation, or sometimes your menstruation is not very strong. It's not affecting you. You don't feel like weak or any, like, one of the biggest things that happens when we're on our cycle is that our pelvic floor usually drops and widens, and then it's hard to engage it. So that's why inversions, or especially strong inversions, are not necessarily a good idea, because it's harder to engage the pelvic floor. But for some women, their menstrual cycles don't affect them at all. And so I say it's up to you. Right? There are those days where you feel heavy and like kind of inward, and you're having this kind of feeling, which is like the drawing in. Then honor that, and maybe it's just legs up the wall or Supta Baddha Konasana. And there's other days or other moons that you're like, man, I feel so energized and I feel very strong. Then you go for it. So to me, I say it depends. My answer always to most things is it depends on the being. So you check in with yourself, like what is important or good for me today, and then you take that regardless of whether or not you're on your menstrual cycle. If the arms start to get tingly and numb while in shoulder stand with the strap, is that placement or shoulder tightness? Okay, tingling and numbing is not a good sign. It generally means that you've got a nerve that you're blocking, which means that blood is not going down into your arms. So a couple things that could be happening, and again, it'd be easier if I could see you, but I'll just make some guesses around that. The strap might be too tight. Okay, maybe get rid of the strap. So if you're able to do shoulder stand without the strap and you don't feel tingling, then do that instead, because it might be where the arms or the elbows are kind of coming in, and so it might be constricting a nerve. Okay, shoulder tightness. I feel like it wouldn't be a tightness thing. And generally, tingling is a nerve thing. Okay, so we don't want that. So get rid of the strap, widen your elbows out to the sides, or explore bringing maybe the elbows closer together. But generally, it's the strap is too tight. Do you engage Mula Bandha in shoulder stand? Great question. You engage Mula Bandha in everything. That's the answer to that. What is Mula Bandha? Let's just maybe break that down just for those of us who don't know. So Mula Bandha, I was just talking about it earlier, is your pelvic floor muscles. It's the drawing in and up of the pelvic floor. And traditionally, you want to be engaging that when you're doing any kind of exercise, just to support. So great question, Alyssa. Yes, you should be engaging Mula Bandha. I should have given this to you guys in the pose, but a great little hack to get your Mula Bandha engaged even more is when you're in shoulder stand, take your feet out to the left and to the right by about 6 to 8 inches, and then draw your tailbone up towards the sky more, pubic bone towards belly button. So what that does is lengthens the lower back, which should engage the inner thighs more. And then you'll notice that when you bring your inner thighs back together, Mula Bandha and inner thighs and core are engaged more. So that's a great little hack to get Mula Bandha engaged. If I couldn't get from shoulder stand into bridge, what should I do? That's a super hard transition. So the couple things is that it depends actually on how much flexion you have in your wrists. Meaning, we talked about this in wheel pose last week, right? If you run your one hand to the other hand and you bring the fingertips towards the wrist and there isn't much mobility there, you're not going to be able to do that because you need your hands underneath you to support your sacrum. So if that doesn't work, then just lie down and come into bridge pose. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then always just practice. But again, if you don't have a lot of flexion in the wrists, I'm not setting you up for success on that one. You'll just come out and then lie down and then come up into it.